As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elesmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 34 of Running the Red Line. I am your host Brett, and I am joined as always by my co-host Andy. And how are you doing this week, which has only actually been 4 days?
Yeah, I know. Feels like only yesterday since we last did the podcast. Yeah, not bad. Feeling like all right, considering I had that little wobble this time last week. I don't even know what that was. So weird. It's weird how you can just feel a bit ill for like 24 hours and then all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just keep telling Laura that Daisy's in here. The podcast could go haywire any minute because Daisy's just walked in. So she's about to go to sleep. But yeah, so it's amazing how you can feel dodgy for like 24 hours and then all of a sudden, yeah, you don't want to jinx it. Touch wood. I'm all right again. So apart from feeling dodgy last week, yeah, I felt back to normal this week.
Good. So have you been training back to normal this week after your big effort on Sunday?
Yeah, so probably don't know if I should be doing this, but it's marathon training, so I'm a bit of a slave to the marathon life. But yes, I've come off the back of the hard effort on Sunday, and instead of having an easy week this week, I've just had basically I'm back into hard training. Not hard training, but yeah, back into full swing of it. But I had an easy week last week because that was more like a mini taper sort of thing.
Yeah. Did you have any time off after Sunday?
No. So 8 o'clock and Monday morning went for a 9 o'clock ish, went for a recovery run. Which was nice and easy just to get the blood flowing, basically, easing a few walks and stuff in there. But no, it's been back all systems go ever since. But I can't believe it. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. I don't know what it is, but I feel great. I feel really good. I don't have any DOMs. I don't have any like injuries. Again, touch wood, touching everything wooden. But it's amazing that I've managed to feel okay after such a hard run on Sunday.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I went for my recovery run on Monday and I was in bits. My glute and my hip were horrendous, but the rest of my legs were as well. My calves, my quads, hamstrings, everything.
So when you do your recovery runs, is it structured in any way? Do you ever stick any walks in there? Do you ever go above recovery pace? Do you push it at the end, or is it?
I basically just run to feel, just run easy. So just set off. Like normally after a Sunday long run, my recovery run on the Monday, I run up to my shop, and the first run of the day, so the 5 miles up to my shop that I do, I'll normally start out at about 8:30 a mile and then start running 8s, just under 8s, maybe 7:45 sort of pace. But this Monday I set off and the first mile was almost 9 minutes, and I was like, this is tough after that effort from Sunday.
Your body was demanding those paces, no doubt. So when you do your recovery runs, do you give it much thought on what routes you take, or do you literally just run what's in front of you and run to feel? If it's a hill, you just take it easy.
Well, recently or because on a Monday I've been running up to my shop so I can do a bit of work and then run home afterwards. I pretty much do the same route every single time, because I know that it's exactly 5 mile, so I can get that 5 mile in, and then I can do a different distance on the way back.
So it's literally 5 mile there, 5 mile back.
Or you can. If I go the most direct route, it's 2.5 miles, but the route that I tend to go on is 5 miles.
Yeah. Okay.
So it goes out into the countryside and round the lanes and stuff, and it's a bit nicer to look at than a direct one where all the cars are.
And you can't avoid, unless it's the Fission 20 miler, you can't avoid the hills in the countryside, really, can you?
No.
Can you remember? No. Can you remember how flat that was? That was crazy, wasn't it? The Fission 20 miler. It was a bit like Newport, I guess. It was like, well, there's got to be a hill around this corner. And do you remember there was a little village called Hill, and it wasn't.
Yes. It was completely flat.
It's about 4 meters of elevation to get up to there, to get up the hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good. Would you do that again? Well, I suppose if you were in training and you're
definitely. Yeah. The organisation was great, the atmosphere was great, and the course was great. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so far that's in my top 3 races of the year.
Yeah, even though it wasn't a single loop, it was a double loop. You didn't really mind that it was 2 laps.
I think as well, when you're looking at it as a training run as well, you're in a slightly different mindset, aren't you? And because we both had different race plans for that day, but we had similar attitudes to it. Like we wanted to ease into it and then finish a bit stronger if we could, get up to marathon pace and maybe even beyond. But it's like it was good in that way, wasn't it? Because we weren't racing it.
Yeah,
we were both there to
doing a session for it. It was it was great. I really enjoyed it.
I looked into 20 milers in the autumn season, but they're all too early on in my training block. Like they're all around about now, because they're prioritizing people that are doing Chester or Amsterdam or York. So a lot of the 20 milers are in September, and I'm not up to that at the moment. And I don't think I've run past 15 mile since, apart from the couple of the ultras I did in the summer. I don't think I've run a road long run since the Newport training block. So I'm quite excited to get back up to speed. But no, I'm not. I've not got any 20 mile races. But if anybody knows of any in November specifically, let me know, because I could probably do with a bit of discipline, because it's so easy to not be disciplined. I mean, that's the reason I think I enjoyed that particular race, is because it's a race environment. You can simulate the day of what you want to eat in the morning and the travel and all the trying to deal with the nerves on race day and things like that. It's so much easier to almost slot into a session, I find it anyway, in an actual race rather than just a normal Sunday long run. Because
it's also because you're running with people, and running with people feels so much easier than running on your own, especially when you've got to go and do some marathon efforts on a Sunday long run. You've got to go out and run 18 mile on your own and do some marathon efforts. There's nothing harder than that.
I also think I wouldn't say a misconception about this, but I think because you've got when you look at all your paces, you've got easy, steady, marathon pace, half, 10K, 5K pace. Obviously, 5K pace and beyond is hard. And then you think, well, by default, marathon pace is quite easy. It's not, is it? Marathon pace is not an easy. No, marathon pace is, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but it's on the border of, well, after a couple of hours, it's definitely uncomfortable. But
it should be your tempo pace, and tempo isn't an easy run. It's a tempo run. So
I think that's one thing I've realized this year, that marathon pace is no longer, well, it never has been easy, but it's definitely not easy now. And I think you've got to cut yourself a bit of slack sometimes if you're chasing marathon pace in your training blocks and you're not getting anywhere near it, or you feel like you're failing a bit. Just be a bit, just remember it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. And, you'll get there, you'll crack it. You've just got to be patient, haven't you? And it's, it is easy to feel like I'm not getting anywhere with this, because even though it's slower than your 10K pace or your half marathon pace, it's just a waiting game, isn't it? And trying to, I like the analogy of like, spreading and sowing seeds, and then during your taper, you sort of watch them grow, and then hopefully, on race day, there's all green shoots, because hopefully you've done the work, and hopefully that the stuff that felt hard early on starts to become easy and starts to feel a bit easier on race day.
Yeah.
And
especially with all the mileage in your legs as you get to the end of your marathon training, everything seems like a bit of an effort, no matter what. And then as soon as you taper, you start feeling that little bit fresher, and you start getting ready for it. I love that feeling at the end of a taper.
I was going to say, you always say that tapered legs are dangerous, don't you? When you turn up to Parkrun on week 15 of a marathon training block, you're 1 week shy of your goal race, and you feel like a spring chicken, don't you? And but yeah, so while we're talking about training blocks and stuff, if anybody out there is got a marathon or a race, whatever it may be, this autumn, please let us know, either in the YouTube comments or drop us an email, or slide into our DMs and Instagram and let us know what it is you're doing, because some of the big ones that are coming up, we've got Berlin next week, I think, as we're at the point of recording this. In the UK, there's Chester, then there's York, and then there is Amsterdam. There's Dublin Marathon that's coming up at the end of October, I believe.
And then there's Chicago and New York as well.
Yes, which are November races, I think. Are they both November? Or no, Chicago's October, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, if anybody is training for any of those races or any that we haven't mentioned, please let us know. Even if it's a 5K or a 10K, or maybe it's an ultra marathon, just let us know what you've got coming up, because we'd love to give you a shout out. So, that being said, we've got some stuff to talk through.
Yes, we have.
Today's podcast. We both had a busy weekend on Sunday. A busy Sunday on Sunday, we should say. We both had a week of training we're going to mention as well. And so we've got plenty to get through.
Yes. So before we get to Worcester, something I did want to just comment on that happened on the same day as we ran Worcester. And I was going to mention it on when we recorded on Monday, but I thought, no, I'll save it because it should have been in this week's podcast. And that is Copenhagen Half. Did you see and hear about this? Where so Jakob Ingebrigtsen, a couple of days after running the Diamond League final and winning the 1500, decided it was time for him to run his first ever half marathon. And you would think, knowing that your half marathon pace should be around your threshold, and he is famous for running double threshold, he would know exactly what his half marathon pace should be and what his threshold is. But it was advertised when he said he was going to run it. It was advertised as the Jacob versus Jakob race. Jacob Kiplimo is the half marathon world record holder, and then Jakob was obviously doing his debut in the half marathon. And I can't remember the name of the guy who eventually won it, but he is also the world champion of the current world champion of the half marathon. So there was some very good runners, and they apparently the pacer was going out at world record pace for this half. So Jakob obviously knows his threshold pace. Just went with the leaders. Just went with the world record pace.
He's not in the business of. He is actually. I was going to say he's not really in the business of coming second, is he? Well, that's not what he. That's not really the way he thinks. Yeah.
He doesn't. I think in his head he just went, "I'm gonna win this." So he went out, and he was. You could see he was struggling after about 6 or 7K, and as they got up to 10K to the 10K marker, he surged a little bit, and he made sure that he was the first person across the 10K marker.
Okay.
And then as soon as he crossed the 10K marker, stopped and had a bit of a walk and looked like quite distressed, and then started jogging again, and then carried on. But he still ran a 63:13 for the half marathon. So after stopping at the 10K mark, he stopped again a couple of times to have a bit of a walk or a moment, and he still ran 63, which is very impressive. But the winner and Jacob Giplimo ran 58. So
I was going to say a 103. That's got to be. Would he even got in the top 10 with a 103?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what position he came. I just remember his time. But what was really impressive is because he surged to that 10K marker during the Copenhagen half, he ran a Norwegian national record in the 10K on the road.
Oh, that's exactly what he probably wanted. Yeah. He probably knew that.
Yeah, so I think that's why he surged for that 10K marker, because he ran 27:27 for the first 10K of that half.
Wow.
Which is mad.
Yeah. So I didn't actually see any footage of him, or I haven't, nothing's come up on my social media about him, but I did see a photo of him just absolutely like collapsed on must have been the finish line, that photo of him on the,
Yeah. Oh,
and he just looks like he just
Instagram post that he put up after the half.
That might have been it. What was the gist of it?
He was saying how how he's got to give a lot of credit to long distance runners.
Yeah. It's a bit further than 1500, isn't it? A half marathon.
Yeah. Here we go. So you put, just realised the meaning of the term "run like hell." My deepest respect to all you long distance runners, and thank you, Copenhagen Half, for the warm welcome.
What's the front photo?
It's him walking, looking really
that's
knackered. And then then the next photo is that.
That's the one I've seen. Yeah, that's a cracker.
And that one.
Yeah, we all know that feeling, I think. Yeah. That was probably a bit 10K.
But yeah, it's still very impressive debut. But I think he did go out a little bit too fast compared to what he should have.
Yeah. But that's him, isn't it? He's
of course. Yeah.
Maybe that was his plan the whole way. I don't know. Maybe he knew deep down he wouldn't be able to challenge for the win.
Yeah, so just went
I'm
for
sure
that
he must. Yeah, he must have known that. But do you think it's a bit early on in his career for him to be doing this?
I don't know, because Josh Kerr runs a half marathon each year at like sort of Christmas time. He goes and runs a half marathon just for a bit of fun.
Where?
And I think he ran a 62 this year. So
like a run through event, or like
it's just some small American half, I think.
Because he lives there, doesn't he, Josh Kerr?
Yeah, he lives in America.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Let me have a look. Josh Kerr half marathon.
I mean, it's not completely.
Oh, sorry, I lied. He ran a 61:51, Josh Kerr, at the San Diego Holiday Half in December.
Right. Okay. Well, it's not unheard of, is it, for elite athletes to turn up at races, because like races that we would compete in? Because when Laura did the Gloucester 10K, Mark Scott was there, and obviously he just completely smashed the field, and I think he did it in about 63, something like that. And it was a warm up for the London Marathon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. Sometimes you could be on the same start line as, I don't know, Mo Farah's. I'm sure he's probably, now he's retired. I wonder if he's going to do any like.
But that's what's amazing about running is you can run exactly the same course and be on the course at exactly the same time as professional athletes. Where what other sport can you do that?
Yeah, like you could literally be. Some people would have overtaken that. Like, for example, like the Rotterdam Marathon about 2 years ago or last year, there was a famous Dutch footballer called Arjen Robben. He used to play for Chelsea and then Bayern Munich, and he's retired now, but he's obviously gotten into long distance running. He did the Rotterdam Marathon in about 3:10. I don't think he went sub 3. So there would have been so many people there that obviously would have overtaken him or run with him. And it's like, wow, I used to watch you on the TV every week, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it must be. I wonder what that feels like as a celebrity athlete to run in these events and people looking at you constantly going, is that I can't believe that's you. I wonder if that gets like, I wonder if that's off-putting or uplifting, or I wonder how that feels to them.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I did that at a couple of London marathons. So I think it was the first couple. No, wasn't first couple because I would never have caught him. It was the last couple of London marathons. I ran past Ewan Thomas. Do you know the 400 runner?
He seems like a good lad.
Yeah, he's a real nice bloke. And I got a selfie whilst we were running the marathon. I was like, "Can I take a photo?" He was like, "Yeah."
For the 40,000th time today. We're not even at 5K yet.
Yeah, he was really good about it. But
that's good.
It's just ace when you run past people and you recognise them and you're like, "Oh man, you're a big deal."
Yeah.
But I'm on the same course as you.
Because like you can at London, you'll have to look out for him. There's like Gordon Ramsay. There's a few, big high profile celebs that will run London every year, isn't there? And they're going there not to just what's the word? They're going to compete. They're going to like try hard. Like the Sophie Rayworth, like the BBC news presenter. She's always there, and she's not going there just solely for a good time. She's going there to try really hard and get in that pain cave. And
they've got to run a marathon. It's not. It's not just a walk in the park, is it? They've got to run 26.2 miles.
Yeah. So, that'd be quite funny if you managed to get, I don't know, Gordon on the on the vlog next year. That'd be hilarious. So yeah.
And what there's always, there was again this year at London, there was that guy who set off at stupid pace, weren't there? So he was leading the London Marathon for the first 100 meters.
Yeah.
Where else could you do that without getting pulled off by security?
I think I read that guy, if we're on about the same guy, because the men go off like the Great North Run, the men go off with the elite elite men go off with a mass start, don't they?
Yes.
And I think that guy who I'm thinking of, if you are as well, had like a bet with his mates in the pub.
Yeah.
That he would get on telly and just like lead the London Marathon for the first 100 meters.
He said, I will at some point be leading the London Marathon. They were like, yeah, right. So he just pegged it at the start.
Yeah. And I bet you he got out of bed at 4:00 and got in his starting pen for 5:30 to make sure he was there. You must have to like get, to get to the front of the queue like that. But no, fair play. That's pretty funny. So no, but I did see a couple of videos on the Copenhagen half. A YouTuber that I follow called Chloe Hamard. She's a really good runner. I think she's in about I don't know what her times are now, but I know she ran around about 90 minutes for the half. I think her PB might be even less than that. It might be like 1:28. But that's it. I think she ran 88, but I think her PB might be even quicker than that. But she did the Copenhagen half, and I watched her video on it. It looked really, really good race. And that is part of the super halves, isn't it? I don't know if we've talked about that.
Yes.
The super halves is a series of half marathon. There's a really good incentive of half marathons across Europe that you get a bit like a 6-star medal for finishing, and you've got, I think, 6 years or 5 years to do all 6 of them. Now, I think it's Cardiff, Copenhagen, Lisbon, Prague, the Berlin half, maybe, and there might be another one I can't remember. But it looks really good, and I wouldn't mind now because I've got Cardiff coming up in October. That might be the first one ticked off for me. So I do quite like traveling for races. Terrible for the planet and the carbon footprint, but it's it's great for the. It's just brilliant to travel for a race. I just done it for Amsterdam. Did it for when I went to France to see my sister who lives in France. Managed to do their local 10K as well.
Yeah.
And when people, when you feel like you're the guest, if you know what I mean, you feel like you're on, you're not on home soil anymore. It just gives it an extra edge of just awesomeness.
Yeah.
And I genuinely would love to have a go at one of those big races.
Yeah.
And I won't lie to you. The Copenhagen Marathon, which I think is every May, is on my radar. I would definitely consider the Copenhagen Marathon because it looks like a really, really good race. And it looks a lot of fun.
Was that the one that Yarrow did this year?
Yeah, you said it was. Yeah, I remember him saying. Yeah.
And he said the atmosphere there is like London. It's that good. Wow. And he said the course is really good. So
awesome.
Yeah, it could be one. Yeah, that I look at in the future as well. Because now that I've got into London again, and I can do London next year, that's then ticked off the bucket list of getting into London without having to run for charity. Yeah. So then I can look around at doing others. So I would like to do some traveling to go and do some other races.
Yeah. Have you got as far as thinking about that weekend yet? Like, have you thought about accommodation and travel down there yet?
What's that?
Just go on the day. You'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I haven't even thought about it yet, which is terrible because I need to get it sorted. Otherwise, just take everywhere
take the bus.
Will be gone.
Take your bus down there. Just park it at on the Mall outside King Charlie's house.
Might just go and park on Greenwich, like on the fields where the start is. Park at Greenwich, sleep in there, and in the morning just roll out of bed, out the door.
Yes, then you can get in there with the elite men, and you can lead the London Marathon 2025. Oh, could you imagine that? Oh God, I'd be screaming at my TV if you did that. God, son.
Yeah, that'll be happening.
You beating Bacaley and everybody. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
What a way to ruin your whole marathon just by doing that first 100 meters at like 100-meter pace. Yeah,
you would. You'd bonk after 30 seconds, wouldn't you? Because if you think about like the average marathon pace, I don't know what it is in miles, but I know it's about 250 a k, isn't it? So is that about 550?
What's that for?
Look, what's world record marathon pace in miles?
Oh, for the elites.
Yeah,
I think it's is it just under 5-minute miling?
Right, that sounds about right. Well, I reckon that first half a mile, like most of us, would probably be a bit quicker than that, wouldn't it? Because they want to get ahead, especially if they know they're off with the mass starters as well. So you're going to have to try and beat the elites who are going out faster than normal. And not only that, faster than world record pace. That would be, you'd be looking at 430 miling, wouldn't you, for a while, which is probably about 235, 240 a k. So that would be funny. I reckon you could hold that pace. Maybe you could set. You know how Jakob did a Norwegian record for the 10K. Maybe you could do like a Redditch record for the 10K. You could do like a 25-minute 10K.
here we go. So in the Chicago Marathon, Kelvin Kiptum, his average pace was 2:51 a kilometer.
Yeah. That is just average pace as well.
Yeah. So what's 2:51 a kilometer? I'm gonna have to find my
that is a pace
pace
that's
chart.
that is a pace that so many people like will just it's just so unattainable, so unsustainable, so crazily fast that amount of speed, and they can run it for that long. It is absolutely crackers.
So 2:51 a kilometer is 4:35 a mile.
That's average pace as well for the marathon. That's
Yeah.
mental, isn't it? You think about a 4-minute mile being for so many years like unbreakable, and just 30 seconds slower per mile. People are doing marathons at it. Wow, it's just absolutely crazy, isn't it? But
Mental, isn't it?
yeah, but no, it's going to be good, isn't it? Watching especially Chicago and Berlin this year to see if anyone can get close to that world record. I mean, I don't know if anyone's on top form, or I assume Kipchoge's not racing this autumn season, is he? In any of the majors?
I don't think so. He hasn't announced anything, but you never know.
We'd probably know by now, wouldn't we? But
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see if anyone could get closer. I wonder if Tamrat Tola is thinking about an autumn marathon, maybe, because he's obviously did so well in the Olympics. I wonder how many marathoners quicker than him there are in the world at the moment on current form.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though if quite a few of them try and do Valencia.
Really?
Yeah, just because of how fast the course is, and then it gives them a little bit more time to recover, doesn't it, after the Olympics?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's going to be quite a bit of hype about in Valencia this year. I think it's going to be a good race, and I just can't wait to experience it. I can't wait to. I think I'm going to know fairly quickly. Okay, I'm on a fast field today. Like I can just feel it. I can just feel the amount of people that are here to run fast today, and I think it's going to be a different mindset. You know, because when I'm stood on the start of the Great North Run, or it's all chatty and it's all like, I wonder if Valencia will just be a completely different mindset. I wonder if people will just be like, right, let's go. I'm in go mode now. And it's, I'm just looking forward to experiencing it. And I imagine it's one of those courses where so many people go there and come home with PBs because everyone has got that same mindset. And I wonder if, hopefully, same thing will happen to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But can't wait.
Just whilst we were talking about kilometer and mileage conversion, it's just popped into my head. You cheated on me a few weeks ago, didn't you?
Why? What? Hang on. What? Hang on. Go on.
You cheated on me. You decided to go on a podcast with Freddie and Scott.
Oh, yeah. I was unfaithful to running the red line. Yeah.
No, I'm only joking. But you went on to the Runners Connect podcast, didn't you, with Freddie and Scott? And I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and something made me chuckle because halfway through it, you said, do you work in kilometers or miles? And they both went kilometers, and you went, yes, that's correct. And then in the next sentence you said, you went, about 6 miles into the Great North Run. So you then use miles. And then later on, Freddie and Scott were talking about their Endure 24, and they both went, I did about so many miles. I don't know what that is in kilometers. So you all said you worked in kilometers, but then all used miles. So I think we know what the true
No, we don't. There is only one true king of the measurement,
and that is miles. Yes.
Yeah, we're metric monsters, and I have got this dream though one day of being truly ambidextrous when it comes to. That's why this podcast is really, really good, because I have to constantly convert things in my head. Because if I say I just went out for a 25k run, you'd be like, huh? So I'm like a 50 mile. So like I like that I've got these conversions in my head. And let's be honest, every race in the UK is garnered towards is for the imperial amongst us.
Yes.
And again, let's be honest, all the road signs, everything else is miles, isn't it? So it's good to work in both.
Depends on distance though, because if you're running a 10k race, they mark it in kilometers, whereas if you're running a half marathon or marathon, it's marked in miles. So
yeah. So I think it is good, and I really want to try and get a little bit more on it. I sometimes guess, especially when I'm writing like on my videos, like what the average mileage is. When I say, right, I've just done a 450 per kilometer, I'm thinking, oh, I reckon that's about 737. And I look on it and it's like 739. Oh, so close. So I am trying to like work, trying to get those measurements, because I think it is good to be good to be proficient in both those measurements, because it's pointless being only knowing one and not the other, because there are times when you do need to know. Like I imagine when you're doing your track, imagine if you'd never done, if you were only imperial and you just turn up to do your first ever 3,000, and and you've only got 200 meters to go, or you think you've got less than you have or more than you have. It's just good to know, isn't it? Both those measurements.
Yeah, and also it's good for you to have, to be working in kilometers, because when you go to Valencia, it will be in kilometers.
Yeah,
because it's European, and European will use the metric system. They'll use kilometers.
Yeah,
there will be no mile markers, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's only us Brits, and a lot of Americans will use miles, won't they? And Australians.
All Americans use miles, don't they? They still use inches and feet.
Well, and pounds, and I think in America they don't even bother with kilometers, do they? Like
I don't think they do. But
I never hear American runners talking about kilometers.
Only track runners, really. Any like distance runners. But that's something that fried my brain in when I went to America, was they work in fluid ounces rather than milliliters, because they still use the imperial system. So like a bottle of Coke isn't 500 ml, it's so many fluid ounces, and they talk about so many ounces of water, and it's bizarre.
Fluid ounce. I forgot about that measurement, because I guess like we all know a can of Coke is what, 330 ml, isn't it, or something?
Yeah.
What's that in fluid ounces? I wouldn't even know.
No.
14,000? 12? I don't know.
But because they work in fluid ounces, they're bottles of drink. Like we have 500 ml bottle of Coke. Their drinks aren't to a milliliter. So they're either just under or just over 500 ml.
Yeah.
Which, it's crazy. But I suppose if you've only ever used that, it makes sense.
I do like some of the imperial measurements though, because when you think about horse racing, when they've got furlongs, and I think, and on horses measured in hands.
Yeah, how tall's your horse? It's so many hands high. What?
14 hands. How big's your hand? Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And like people still call like the 100 meters the 100-yard dash. Because that's what it was originally. It was 100 yards, but now it's 100 meters.
If you think about the imperial measurement of feet, that's just somebody going, that's about 10 footsteps away. Yeah, let's call it 10 foot away. That's about, how far is that? Oh, it's about 100 feet. It's literally how they've measured it, isn't it? Once upon a time, and it's just stuck. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But I must say, elevation sounds way more hardcore in imperial.
In feet, yeah.
Yeah. Just the higher the number, the harder the distance.
Yeah. I'm sure the UK is the only country in the world that uses both. Uses both the metric system and the imperial system, because everywhere else has either adopted one or the other. Because pretty much all of Europe use the metric system, and then it's just America that uses inches and the imperial system, and then everywhere else. I think Australia are the metric system as well.
Oh, are they? A lot of Aussies are using metric. I think really the only because I started off with miles and then converted to metric halfway through a training block when I was training for Brighton, and I think I did it because everything just divided easier in my head, and I don't know. I mean, a lot of people say, "Well, I'd rather run 3 miles than 5K. I'd rather at the end of a marathon look at my watch and see that there's 5 miles to go rather than 8K." So I understand that. It's just so psychological, isn't it? Some people think more.
That's
numbers higher than numbers are harder.
That's one of the things I always say is I want to run 26. I don't want to run 42.
Yeah. Yeah. But do you know what I found since I've gathered a bit of speed lately, which is nice? My 5Ks, especially the efforts, they seem to go so quickly. And that's not me having some sort of little flex. I'm not saying, oh, look how fast I am. But it's like going from like K3 to 4 and thinking, okay, I've only got 4 minutes to go now, or something like that. It's amazing. It's amazing how quickly you can get through a kilometer if you really want to.
Yeah.
But I guess you have that with a mile, don't you? You know, if you get to mile 25 of a marathon, you think, right,
yeah,
I could, 6 minutes if I really put my foot down, or you just know your numbers. You've got to learn to know your numbers, haven't you?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But shall we move on to the big event from Sunday?
What have we just been talking about for 41 minutes? How have we only just had to start the race? What have we been talking about? Most people are wrapping up their podcast by now. Like, we haven't even started.
It's so true.
Oh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Actually, the feedback seems to be, well, from about 4 people anyway. Longer form podcasts are quite helpful for runners, because especially if they're on long runs and stuff. So that's how we justify it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, why not? So let me just get my my stuff. Here we go. Worcester City Runs. Favorite race of the year. It never disappoints. Grafted hard today. I won't say the rest because I don't want to give too many spoilers away. But last week, that was my Strava. Last week, it was the Worcester City Run. So as a lot of you know, that's where I'm from. That's where I currently reside. So it's quite nice for me because it's a hometown half marathon. And it's a good race. Got to be fair. They've changed the course in recent years because for one reason or another, it now revolves more around the city centre and the sights of the city rather than the countryside where it used to run. And it's my 5th time running it. First time is virtual because that's when I just got into running around lockdown. And I've run the race 4 times in a row. Like the actual thing. Last year I ran with Brett, and that's probably the best I've ever run in my life. In fact, still probably will be until the day I die. One of the best days I've ever had running.
It's one of the highlights of my running life, and it was getting you to a PB, it's one of the highlights.
Yeah, it was wicked, wasn't it? And it was
so good.
That was a good day. So that day last year, which is pretty much 12 months to the day, I set my targets on running basically a sub 136. And at the time, that would have been a 4 minutes and 17 second PB. And Brett, I managed to cling on to Brett as hard as I could. And we got over the line with about 13 seconds to spare, 15 seconds. So I managed to creep just inside 136, 135, 45 I did. And I haven't run any faster than that all year across the half marathon.
And if anyone hasn't seen that video of your race, go and check it out. It's a good watch.
It's peak Andy Mag. I don't think I'll ever produce a bit of video content, and I didn't even produce it. You filmed it, but I don't think I'll ever put anything on YouTube that's as good as that. And I don't mean as good, like it's quite, even as I've watched it back, it's just something I'm mega proud of. It's got that kind of sitting on the edge of your seat kind of thing about it. Will he, won't he? Will he make the time? Won't he make the time? And especially because I sort of came back from the dead in that last mile when I was really dropping off. But yeah, so we lined up on the start line this year, and the target for me was sub 135, which is I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong bit of that. Then 135 rather than 125. 135. I put the stress on the wrong word then. So I wanted to go sub 135 this year, and as Brett was selfishly running his own race, and it wasn't there to hold my hand like usual, there was randomly a 135 pacer, which was odd, because normally it's on the block numbers like 130, 140, 50, 2 hours. You'd expect a 2 hour one. But yeah, we got a 135 pacer, which I was delighted with, which basically, again, took the pressure off a little bit, because I could just follow this guy, follow the flag as much as I could. And that's what my plan was to do, is just to try and hover around this guy and see if I could keep up, and then hopefully finish in front of him. So that was the plan. And morning of the race was a nice easy one. You came and met me, didn't you, Brett? And then we had a little run in. It was a 9:30 start, I think. So we got there nice and early. They changed the backdrop this year, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah.
That gave us an extra 10 minutes extra of faff. And it was a bit weird, really, because I don't know if you had exactly the same problem as me, because you were in the queue for the toilets, weren't you? And then I cracked on because I wanted to just film a bit of the start of the 10K. You then had to run through the start funnel of the 10Kers who were just about to go. And it was so poorly, because there's no other way around it. You have to just go through it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you got embroiled in that, or did you even try to get through it? I don't know.
So when I arrived to there, I did have to go through the 10Kers, but it was towards the back of the 10Kers. So it was a bit more spread out. It wasn't as tight, because I think they'd taken them to the start line by the time I'd got there. Whereas they hold them back, they hold everybody back about 100 meters before they then take them to the start line. So I think they're taking them down.
Yeah, and it's probably worth mentioning as well. I think I heard, I don't know if this is true, I think I heard there were 6,000 runners, but I don't think that's right. Unless there were 3,000 10Kers, I don't know, because there's about 1,500 half marathoners.
Yeah, I think there was 1,600 in the half.
Yeah, you'd expect double that for the 10.
More, 1,785 finishes.
That's not bad. And you'd expect more than that for the 10K, wouldn't you?
2,420 for the 10K.
So that's 4,000 then, isn't it? Yeah, just over.
And then there was the kids' races.
Oh yeah, they always put the kids' races in and the family thing the day before as well, so they make it sound bigger than it is. Chester did that at Chester Marathon. They said there were 12,000 runners, and I looked at my thing, and there was only like 4,000 finishers. Basically, because at Chester they have something called the metric marathon, which is 26 kilometers or something like that, and that attracts just as many, if not more, people to it as well. So they just say the Chester Marathon has 12,000 runners or 10,000 or something like that. It's like, well, no, it doesn't. But anyway, so I watched the 10Kers go. Saw Speedy Rich, Beardy Richie Redat. He who ran a mega PB. He did 38 high, I think he did. I can't remember what exactly he got. But he ran really, really well, especially as he's had some, I think it's his hamstring. He has never been the same since Newport, He ran Newport Marathon, and he's convinced that he destroyed one of his hammies on that race. And he said since that day in April, his hamstrings have never been the same. Can you hear that? Someone's at the door.
Yeah, somebody's at your door. There's somebody at the door. There's somebody at the door.
Let's see who it is.
Can you remember that program, by the way?
I don't even know what it's from. It's Amazon. Laura's got it. No, I don't remember the song. What is it? What is it even from?
It's from Rod Hull and Emu from the Pink Windmill.
Rod and Emu
with grot bags.
Grot bags. Oh man, this is bringing so many memories back. Grot bags. Me and my sisters used to call my mum that when we wanted to really know.
Amazing.
Grot bags. Oh, funny stuff. Sorry, Mum. I saw a load of the 10Kers go. So who else do we know running that? Chris Dorr. Shout out to Chris, who's training for Oxford at the moment. We had Mac and Jazz. Yeah. So Jazz doing her first race in a year because she basically injured her calf muscle this time last year and she was told she couldn't run. And she's been having like electroshock therapy and all this sort of stuff. And she managed to get fit and get on the start line. And she managed to come in and run a really good 10K, including, I don't know if you saw the video of it, like a sub 20 5K pace finish. She absolutely destroyed everyone on the finish straight.
Yeah, the last 100 meters, she was like, I'm getting a good photo here.
Yeah.
So absolutely flew through everyone so she could get a photo with no one else in it. Amazing.
Yeah, so massive fair play. And who else were there? I can't remember. Julia didn't run, did she? No. And so shout out to everyone that ran the 10K. Sorry if I've missed anybody out. But yeah, so we got in the pen, watched all the 10Kers go. And then you obviously went towards the front, didn't you? And I sort of didn't want to get imposter syndrome. And so I held myself back for about 10 or 15 rows or something. And I started with Adam and Dan Neil, the two bros, and another set of brothers stood with Sam and Ben Bauer. Now, the Bauers, these are the guys who Sam overtook on the finish line to Paris Marathon for the accolades of the fastest brother. He won that by about 10 seconds or 5 seconds because he did him on the finish line.
Yeah.
So I started with them, and we were aiming for a similar time. And you said to me, Adam is going for similar to 135 as well.
135, yeah.
And Adam ended up running a 131.
No, better than that. He ran. So yeah, we've got to give a massive shout out to Ad because he was aiming for 135. Just felt pretty decent whilst he was running it. Bearing in mind he's training for York Marathon, so he's deep in marathon training as well. And he ran a 1:30:56.
Wow! Oh God, I didn't know it was sub 131.
Yeah,
I ran
incredible.
I ran the first 5 or 6 mile with him, and he was just like. So he's one of those people that never looks. He looked calm the whole time.
Yeah.
Never out of breath. Form was really good. He just looks like a really tidy runner. Do you know? He's one of those guys. Good form, looks good in his kit. Yeah, and he was, and it was good to share some miles with Ad.
This is the thing about Ad. So Dan as well, his brother. He ran. He was a little bit gutted because he was aiming for his first ever sub 130, and he ran 1:30 in 10 seconds. So he was just 10 seconds off, which is still an incredible run. But yeah, great work from both of them. But at the end, I saw Ad and Dan coming through, and I thought I'll get them on camera. And Adam had took his top off, and he went, "Oh, I better put a top on." I was like, "No, you're ripped as hell, Ad." So don't worry about a top. And he went, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was joking with Dan about it. And I went, I mean, I go in the gym twice a week, do all of my work, and I've still got a pot belly. Ad goes into the gym for the first time this year, and look at him. He's absolutely ripped.
Signs up to runner. Now look at him.
I know. And Ad went, well, it's just genetics. And Dan looked at himself and he went, I don't think it is, mate.
Oh, funny stuff. So the battle to be the fastest brother in the Neil family is really it's on at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, but this is the thing. They both beat old Leggett Lee, because Lee was supposed to be there running the Worcester half, and Lee even put on his Instagram that he was coming to run it and saying, I haven't done any training, I'm going to be racing it. And then, because it was his birthday the night before, didn't get up in time, didn't make his way there. So
gutted. It would have been good to see
the full
Lee.
trio of brothers weren't there.
Yeah. But so that was obviously a good battle between the brothers, and well done to it. Well done to those. But yeah, the race we set off, and I've just bring up my splits basically, and I knew that I needed to beat last year. I needed a 4:28. Oh no, the Kraken has awoke. Oh, she just fell off. Oh God! Don't you dare close my laptop. Don't you dare. Right, hopefully she settles back down. I'll just stop talking to her. So I needed to beat last year's time. What are you doing? She's just bit the laptop. Oh my God. Right. If she gets any worse, I will have to call for backup. No, she's run off. She's fine. She's fine. So I knew I needed 4:28s at the slowest. I needed an average pace of 4:28 in kilometers, which maybe you can convert for me. I should know this. It's about 7:16, I think. Does that sound about right? 7:16, 7:18?
No, it'd be quicker than that, because that's what you ran last year was 7:16.
Okay. So yeah, I'd probably be looking around about 7:14, 7:13.
Finding my conversion chart. What was it? You were running 4:20.
It was 4:28 I needed.
So that
was last year.
Yeah, that would be around about 7:11, 7:12 a mile.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That sounds about right, because I remember the pacer was yelling out in miles, like what we just run the previous mile. So I knew that I needed to, just for the sake of argument, I'll stick with K's. I needed to run around about 4:27s. That's what I was arguing. I was aiming for 4:25s. 4:25s would have given me a 1:34 finish, 1:33 high, which I thought was maybe a little bit too hard for my effort, but that's what I was going to go for. So first 5K, 4:23, 4:29, 4:34, 4:21, 4:24. Now, I was adamant I was going to run my own race and not follow the pacer when I crossed the start line. And Daisy, what are you doing? Please, 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 Daisy, just be good. Daisy, leave it. Good girl. And I did. I didn't do that. I basically just thought, no, I'm going to go back to plan A, which was follow the pacer. And that's exactly what I did. And I noticed that the pacer slowed up a bit when it came to hills, put his foot down a bit when there was a downhill, and, cracked on a little bit on the bits where you could, which were nicely runnable.
Yeah.
Whether that's a good idea or not as a pacer, I don't know, but I appreciated it because it looked like he had a good understanding of the course. He knew what was almost around every corner. He knew, this is ridiculous. Daisy is like literally standing on me. If you listen to this, Daisy, and I've just got to stroke her, so she'll not play up. So that was quite useful because in the first 5K, there's a couple of cheeky hills, nothing mega, but they'll.
There's a decent rise going up to the uni. That's it. I would say that's a hill, definitely in that second mile.
And if you do go out too fast on that course, although there's not any other hills in the whole course, it could be enough to derail your PB attempt, couldn't it? If you go off too fast, too hard. So I was quite pleased that the pacer, basically played the long game, the patient game, and he was like the first pacer I ever come across where he was kind of not 5 minutes ahead of target time within the first 5K. Because sometimes when you're following a pacer at one of the big races, they're like, "Are you sure you're pacing?" I'm sure I should be going for the same pace, but I'm running like 20 seconds faster a kilometre than I should be.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened at Manchester. The 3-hour pacer just went off like a shot and was running faster than me at 2:55 pace. So
well, they have that anxiety, don't they, of not getting everyone in under the target time, I think, which is why they do it. And it's slightly frustrating, isn't it, as a mere mortal, because the people that are the pacers are probably capable of running 10, 20 minutes and the rest faster than the time they've got on their back, haven't they? So they're finding this relatively easy, I guess. But anyway, the first 5K went really, really well. I was quite pleased with that. So looking at my splits here, the average time probably would have been around about 4:23, 4:24, so slightly faster than target time. And then 6 to 10, 4:26, 4:30, 4:28, 4:25, 4:30. So settling in by now, which I was really pleased with. I remember getting to 10K, which is at the end of the Worcester race course, which is the Parkrun circuit that we do if you ever do Pitchcroft Parkrun. And I remember looking at my watch and I was only 10 seconds slower than 10K PB pace. I mean, this is GPS. But I remember thinking, wow, am I running too fast, or is my 10K target, is my 10K PB really beatable? And I think it's the latter.
Yeah, I think
because by then I was actually feeling okay, and I was feeling pretty decent. So coming out of the race course, 10K behind me, pretty much halfway there, feeling all right. Now I'll do the next 6 splits up to 10 miles because as we all know, that's when the real party starts at 10 mile, isn't it? So 11 was 4:27, 4:31, 4:23, 4:25, 4:24, 4:36. So 16K, 10 miles. Now, exactly the same thing was happening to me that happened last year. I remember getting to 10 miles, seeing the 10-mile thing. It's around the section when you leave in the city and you've just you're coming alongside the canal.
Yeah.
And I got to 10 miles and I'm now starting, not panic, but I'm breathing very heavily. I'm getting overtaken quite a fair amount. And I wasn't looking at my pace. But every now and again when my watch would bleep, split had passed, I'd notice it getting slightly slower, especially when it flashed up a 4:36. Bear in mind, I wanted 4:25s to 4:27. And by now, the pacer is probably 200 meters away, 100 meters away. I'd probably say about 100 meters away. So he's slowly starting to slip away from me in that last 3 miles since the 10K split. But I said to myself, this is not an option. I have to keep up with this pacer.
Yeah.
I don't care what I have to do. I've got to try my hardest to hunt him down. At the very least, do not lose that blue flag that's hovering in the distance. Don't lose it.
Yeah.
Just keep a visual on it and try and settle, try and relax, basically, which is what I kept telling myself. And then 17 to, the rest of the Ks, the last 5K, 4:35, 4:32, 4:32, 4:28, 4:26. So the last kilometre is where I've said to myself, right, I need to try and just get myself back in the game here because I could feel myself fading slightly.
Yeah.
And by now, I've made a little bit of ground on the pacer, and I'm realising that I'm not going to catch him now, unless I just drop an ungodly sprint finish, which I don't know if I'm going to be capable of because I was at my limit. And then we turned that It's on Andy corner. I saw Laura, saw Daisy, and a couple of runners had overtaken me on that bit past the river, which I wasn't happy about. And I said, no, I'm going to have you back, lads. Sorry about that, boys. Don't get comfortable in front of me because I'm coming for you. And then on that finish line straight, I just gave it literally everything that I had left. And I remember crossing the line thinking, I feel even more exhausted than last year running with you. I felt like I could not have given it any more. And I crossed the line. Basically, I saw the pace across the line, the 135 pacer. And I thought, game's gone. Because I thought he was going for a 134.55. That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
And then as you come in to see the finish line, 100-meter dash, you see the clock above the finish line, and it said 134.40.
Yeah.
I thought, what's happened here? Okay. And then as I'm running, I hear you on the side going, go on, you can do it. You can dip under, or, I can't remember what you said. So that gave me an extra, incentive to just put my foot down again. And I got over the finish line, sub 135. I did it official 134.56.
So good, dude.
So good. I nearly bonked really hard, and I nearly gave up, to be honest. And I'm so glad that at that last 3 miles, I'm glad that I just, even though I was off the pace slightly by a couple of seconds, I knew this isn't going to get any easier. But I was saying to myself, we've only got 5K, we've only got 3K, we've only got a K to go. It's over in a matter of minutes. And it's just beyond happy to come in under 135. And now I'm noticing that my PBs, the gaps are getting smaller and smaller to improve.
It's all about seconds now rather than minutes.
And seconds really count, don't they? They really, really count.
Yeah.
And I managed to finish. My last 200 meters was a 3:48 pace, so that's pretty decent for me.
Amazing.
Okay, so yeah, delighted with how it went. Nearly fell off a cliff, but just about stayed in the game.
Yeah.
And
where would you say it was? The point where you felt you were putting in the most effort? Where was the hardest section of the course, do you think?
From 16 to 20, so from 10 mile to 12 and a half.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I'd be able to around the river. And I knew that I'd back myself to try and finish strong. And, I'd see, Laura, and I'd see a few friends, and, I've got Chris and Rich and Mac and all that and jazz going, go on, son. And so I knew that I'd be able to just pick the pace up then for that end bit. But yeah, I felt really, and it's quite a lonely run as well, because especially the last 3 miles, I was on my own for a lot of it. And which is I don't really feel like that very often. I'm normally surrounded by a lot of people, so there's no packs to run in. And got overtaken by Sam and Ben around about 10-15K. Sam at 10K, Ben at 15, and then they both finished with low 134s. So they were just in the distance. I could just about see them the whole time.
Yeah, you were quite close. You were quite close behind Ben at the end. Sam was about 30-ish seconds maybe in front, and then you were just quite close behind Ben at the end, weren't you?
Sounds about right. Yeah. So
they both ran a great race as well.
Yeah. So fair play to Sam and Ben as well, who both started out steadier and eased into it. So I went for an even split race, and I'm glad I did, because I quite like the kind of ticking off feeling, especially in, you get quite a nice feeling about it in the first 10K when you're feeling a lot fresher, when you start hitting pace and it feels easy. I quite like that feeling of trying to go for even splits, but towards the end, obviously, I'd 5 to 7 seconds slower than I'd like it to be. But yeah, my average pace, according to Strava, was 4:27. And I think because of all the twists and turns, because it was very twisty and turny in that city centre, I ran so wide on a lot of corners. And my GPS said I ran 21.3. 21.29 kilometers, which I can understand because some of those corners I think I took really wide.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
See, I was chatting about this at the end of the race to people about that city section where it's got all the tight turns, because if you want to take the tightest line, you have to slow up, get into those corners to the corners, but then you've got to accelerate again out the corner. Or if you want to take it at the pace you're going, you've got to go quite wide, and then you end up going out wide when you've taken the corner. So you end up doing extra round every corner. But
you can't run like a Formula One car can drive around Silverstone, can you?
No,
because they've got an engine and you've got legs, and it's like you literally lose momentum, don't you, if you follow the racing line, really tightly. So, but yeah, absolutely delighted looking back, and I think I can't work it out from this, but I think it's around about a 55-second PB, something like that, 50 seconds.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm
delighted.
just looking at the results now. So Sam Bauer ran a 1:34.02, so low 1:34, which is amazing. And you were one place behind Ben, because Ben ran a 1:34.51, and you ran 1:34.53. So you were 2 seconds behind Ben at the end.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. Right, nice. Yeah, that was really just seeing that board say 1:34 something.
Yeah,
because I remember thinking the last mile, I remember thinking the game's gone now. I'm going to just about scrape a PB by 5 seconds. That's what I was thinking, not nearly a minute, because I was actually really pleased that the pacer. Can you see Marcus Mumford? Because that's the name of the pacer.
Yes.
When did he come in at? And it wasn't the Marcus Mumford, which I was disappointed.
Did he wait for you?
That's what I should have said, shouldn't
I? He ran 1:34.37.
Right. So yeah, quite a well paced race from him then.
Yeah.
So what? I finished 15 seconds behind him.
Yeah.
So
exactly 15 seconds.
I reckon at one point I was about 30 seconds behind him. So I think I must have closed on him slightly in the last 3K, like 10 seconds per kilometer or something. No, I can't have, because looking at my splits, if they're accurate, I sort of slowed down. But I remember what I liked about him, Marcus.
But he might have slowed down because he was too quick.
Oh, it could have, yeah. What I quite liked about him was he was quite a chatty pacer, but not like he didn't want to openly start conversations. Like me. the complete opposite of you, who's just really just a joy to be around. And with you, it's just it's just everything is just black. It's just pain and suffering. But no, Marcus would like you shout out, right, it'd be like 7:12 for the last mile. Well done, everybody. How we doing? Water on the left, water on the right. This is coming up, that's coming up. He was just he was like a tour guide that was like keeping everything going to time. So it was really nice guy. And he is the guy who has got the world record for the fastest ever person to run the London Marathon. No, the Guinness World Record, fastest ever marathoner dressed as a toilet.
And a tap.
Yeah.
So he was a tap this year, wasn't he, at London?
That's it. Yeah. So fair play to him. Nice bloke. And
amazing.
I was chasing him down like I was trying to just be laser focused on him. And can I also take this chance to apologize to anyone who said go on, or well done, or good running, or go on, son, or whatever, and I just kind of went past, because I literally wasn't capable of the English language from like 15K onwards, and the amount of people that were clapping and encouraging me, and I just couldn't even raise my hand to say thank you. I apologize. I'm sorry if I came across.
I've got to say the same, because everybody who said like go on, Brett, or anything, I just put my thumb up. I didn't respond with vocally. I just went.
It's all.
That was about
it. It's all you can do, though, isn't it? It's all you've got left.
Yeah.
So it's It's a tricky one. But yeah, that was the story of my Sunday morning.
Dude, amazing work. And yet another PB, which is awesome.
So this year I've had 5K, 10K, half, and marathon PBs. So
can't grumble at that, can you?
Yeah, pleased with that.
Amazing work.
So why don't we hear your story and your targets and your what you wanted to do?
So I finished last year with you and said, that's a great course. I'd love a good crack at that. And this year was that good crack. But obviously I've been having a few issues and stuff with my glute and my hip and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, am I prepared to go and try to run a half marathon PB? Possibly not, but I'm still going to try anyway. Why not? It's always worth a go. So we got down there. We jogged down there. You left to go and film the start of the 10K, and I'm glad I waited in that queue for those toilets because it went a bit quicker than when I got back to the start, and the queues for those toilets was crazy. So I'm glad I managed to get in when we did by the bag drop. And then got down to the start and just thought, do you know what? I'm going to go out at PB pace and see what happens. If I can hang on, great. If I can't, oh well, there's more races to come. So got on that start line. And on the start line next to me, there was Daryl Thomas, who is from B&R, but he is running. Is he running Chicago or New York? I think it's Chicago. So he was doing it as a part of a 20 miler. So he wanted to run about a 121, which he hit dead on, to be honest. So he was well happy. And then because I think he was running marathon pace for it, so that's what he wants to try and do for the marathon. And then also next to me was Kieran Deegan.
Oh yes,
lad from Worcester, who is in Black Pair Joggers. With are you now a full-fledged member of Black Pair Joggers? By the way,
I am.
You are.
I'm a pair. Yeah, I am.
Look, check you out. So, do you know what that means? Don't you?
No, I'm not doing cross country.
Yes, you are. Because
I don't think I'm hardcore enough for it.
Because cross country, you don't have to do it before Valencia, but cross country carries on through January and February. So looks like you're gonna have to make your cross country debut. Anyway,
more running shoes I have to purchase now.
Come on, don't act like you don't want to buy more running shoes.
I do.
But anyway, so I got onto the start line, and Kieran is a very similar pace to me. Our PBs are very close to each other. So I said to him, what are you aiming for? And he said, well, I just want to get out there and run around 120. I said, if I can break 120 today, I'll be very happy. So we said, we'll try and stick together. Set off. Obviously, the adrenaline's pumping. And we ran the first mile pretty much together, side by side. Looked at my watch after the first mile, 5:38, and we were like, "Oh, okay, we're going off a little bit too fast here." But sometimes that can be a good thing. I know you were saying that sometimes it can really damage your race, but sometimes having those few extra seconds can help. So we were like, okay, cool. We've ran that first mile a little bit quick. We'll now settle into the pace we want. And I was aiming to run about 6-minute miles, but I know a 119 is 6:04 a mile. So I thought if I can run a 119 again, so under 120, I'll be well happy. So we carried on, went round the uni, come back. I saw you guys going into the uni, and carried on through the housing estates and stuff. Because the race the Worcester City Arts is basically in 4 sections, isn't it? We've got
Yeah.
the first bit that goes out into the housing estates and round the uni. Then it
Yeah.
comes back and goes round the racecourse, round Pitchcroft. Then it goes into the city centre and does all the twisty and turny bit, and then it goes out into the Diglis bit, doesn't it? By the
the
canal.
river section. Yeah.
Yeah. So that first section, we got through when we came back out the things and came back towards the city centre, and as we hit 4 mile, in the 4th mile, my hip and my glute started to say hello, and I thought, this could ruin everything now, but we'll see what happens. And my left one was a little bit tight as well, which was interesting. But I don't know whether that was partly just my head playing games with me at the start of a half marathon. But as we got to the end of the 4th mile, Kieran had started to drift away. He was flying. He was at a really good pace. And I just thought his pace is a little bit too hot for me today. I'm going to stick where I am and just try and keep that pace going. So my first 4 mile, let me just pull up my Strava. So my first 4 mile, I did a 5. Well, on Strava it says 5:40, but on my watch on the day it was 5:38. But 5:40 first mile, and then I did a 5:58, a 5:58, and a 5:59.
Oh, nice!
For my first 4 mile. So I was pretty pleased that I was under that 6 minutes. But as I say, it started to kick in my hip, and then we got onto Pitchcroft and went round the race course. And as you get to the end, we get to about 10k, don't we, and halfway. And whilst we were going around Pitchcroft, I had a couple of lads pass me, and I thought, am I really fading that bad? So as we came out of Pitchcroft, there's that little rise, isn't there, to go up into the city centre. So I thought, as I hit that little rise, that little hill, I thought I'll push up the hill, and then it's time. We'll be halfway. It's time to really knuckle down and push through. So my 5th mile was a 5:58 again, and then my 6th mile was a 6:07. So I had slowed down on that as we got to halfway, and I was like, okay, is this where it starts to blow up and can't crack on? But I thought, right, knuckle down, let's go through this city centre and see what we can do. And then in my head, I just went, so now we're halfway. The main goal or main target is those people in front. Just chase them down. Just see if you can get with them. So we went through all the city centre and everything. So I ran my 7th mile in a 6:02. So not too bad. And then my 8th mile was a 5:56. So half decent. And then we got round to 10 miles, as you say, round just before we get onto Diglis. And I ran a 6:04 and a 6:02. So my 10th mile was a 6:02.
What do you want to stay underneath? 6:04.
So 6:04 is sub 120, so 119.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm on track, which I'm really pleased about. But I got to 10 miles and I went, right, we're at 10 miles. This is tough now. Do I just ease up and jog it in? And then in the back of my head, I went, this is the point where I told Andy that he wasn't allowed to ease up at all and needed to start pushing. So I got to take my own advice. So there is no slowing up. Now is the time to push on for this last 5k.
Do you also remember that bit running around the canal basin? You run past a cafe where they've got bacon sandwiches cooking, and all I wanted to do is just stop and have a bacon sambo, but I couldn't.
Yeah. And you turn that tight left, and everybody's just sat on the tables, aren't they, eating and drinking? So I got to 10 miles, and I was like, right, I've got to knuckle down now. This is where I try and push on for this last 5k and try and do it. So I'd overtaken a few people on those last couple of miles, And I was like, right, now's the time to really focus and try and catch some more people in front. And whereabouts is the bit where we went round the cone and come back on ourselves? Is that about 11-ish mile, sort of, before we went out onto the bridge?
It's about 11.
So as we went round there, I saw Kieran come in the other way, and I thought, I've pulled back a little bit of distance from Kieran, because by halfway he was gone. I couldn't even see him in the distance, and I'd started to pull him back, and that sort of give me a little bit of a boost, because I was like, his PBs are very similar to mine, so maybe I can catch him again. I don't know, but there was a few people in between me and Kieran, so I thought, right, I'll just keep on chasing those people and just ticking them off. So my 11th mile around 5:58, and then my 12th mile, the fatigue kicked in again, and I ran a 6:06. So yeah, I thought, right, I've got 1 mile left. Well, 1.1 mile left. I've got to kick on now. This is where it gets serious. If I don't push, yes, I might get under 120, but am I going to get a PB? Because my PB at the time was 1:19.10 from Birmingham. So pushed again for that last mile. Saw Laura and Daisy as we came out of by the river and over the bridge, and we got to the It's on Andy bit, and I was like, okay, my watch beeped, but I didn't look at it. But I ran that 13th mile in a 5:58, so I'd managed to get under 6 minutes again for that one.
Nice.
And then got to the It's on Andy bit, and I thought, right, I've just got to push now. And I'd managed to pass a couple of people again on by the river, and I knew the next person in front of me was Kieran, and I was like, I can see him. I've pulled a bit of time back. Can I manage to get him before the end? So put on the afterburners as hard as I could. My GPS actually clocked it at 13.2 miles rather than 13.1, but ignore that, because we ran 13.1. It's been officially measured, that course. So yes, I may have drifted, but whatever. But I ran that last 0.2 miles in 5:04 pace. So I really managed to knock the speed down. And in the end, I managed to get 3 seconds behind Kieran at the finish. Which I was well happy about, because he had disappeared. I couldn't even see him halfway through. But across the line in 1:18.40. So I managed to get a 30-second PB, and I came 13th overall. So very, very happy.
That's massive. You must have been absolutely delighted with that. At what point did you know it was going to be a big PB, not just a couple of seconds?
As we got to the It's on Andy bit, I thought, I looked at that last mile and I thought, okay, right, the average pace said under 6 minute miling, and I was like, this could be on here, because 6 minute miling is 1:18. So it's sub 1:19. So I was like, yeah, I've got to really push here to do it. And yeah, I was just proper happy. Across the finish line, my legs were wobbly as hell. I looked over and Kieran was holding onto the barrier with his wobbly legs, and I just went, your legs look as wobbly as mine feel. So we'd both obviously put a lot of effort in, but yeah, well happy. And yeah, I've another PB for a half this year, which is crazy.
Do you think that's where would you rank that run in terms of, in your life, you know, in terms of how proud you are of that run? Is that towards the top? Like, is that like
it's up there. It's definitely up. Yeah, just because of the fact that I've not been 100% in the lead up to it, and I still managed to put in that effort and keep the miles pretty consistent. I mean, there was a few that went over 6 minutes, but to keep them as consistent as they were, yeah, it's up there with one of my best runs, I think. I mean, that's my pace chart.
That looks really clean. Looks really nice. Look at that finish.
So I'm pretty pleased with how it went. But yeah. So 2 PBs from both of us on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, isn't it, when you know people that are there and have also done well as well. I think it was just something in the water that day. The conditions were perfect, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
It wasn't warm. It wasn't too sunny. It wasn't humid for a change, because it's been what feels like all summer long. It's been really humid, and it wasn't that bad. There was a little bit of a headwind, as I remember, on a part of the race course, but apart from that, nothing that was too bad. Nothing that sapped your energy too much. Very few hills in that course. However, it does compensate with all the twists and turns. And it probably sounds silly us saying that, but honestly, there's a city centre section which is like, there's like a slalom, isn't it? Like you can't run in a straight line for longer than about what feels like 20 seconds at some points, or a minute or something like that. It's just turn after turn after turn, and it's and the one bit you're just running down the high street, and like, it is kind of cool, but there's like people just going into Wilco's, or there's people going into, like, just going shopping, and you're just, running past them and stuff. There's people sat outside the pub, and it's quite cool to literally run through the city centre.
There's that one little bit that's through the cobbles, which is an interesting section. You've really got to watch where you're putting your feet down that cobbly street.
Friar Street. Yeah. So that was quite interesting. But I do like the race, and it does have a special place in my heart, because it is my local race, and it's nice to run. I don't know if you have the same about Redditch, but it's nice to just run. It's nice to race on your training routes, because you're always you're running so hard down parts of the course that you would never think to run that hard down normally. Like, you normally, this is normally my easy 5K circuit, or this is where I occasionally do some half marathon pace or 10K pace, and here's you just going like as fast as you can down that finish straight. So it is nice. And they say familiarity breeds contempt, but I'm not sure. I actually quite like having that familiarity, knowing that I know that course so well. And it's the race that I've done the most. Do you know what race you've done the most would be? Would it be maybe Birmingham?
Yeah, it's probably Birmingham half, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite, I think it's quite good, isn't it, knowing what's coming, and that thrill of trying to better what you did last year, or it's quite a.
It's either Birmingham half or the Two Castles.
Yeah. And that route has never changed, has it? Two Castles.
No.
So that's the same every year without fail, and it has been for a long time. So yeah, what are you trying to tick off this year? So obviously you've got a marathon PB from Manchester.
Yep.
You've got 14 half marathon PBs.
Well, I was going to say, this year my big target was to try and break 120 in the half marathon, and I've done it 4 times now this year. So
that's amazing.
I'm well happy. I think the next big target for this year is to try that all-out 5K, because this year I've got a 3K PB, a half marathon PB, and a marathon PB. I'm happy with where my 10K PB is. If I enter a 10K and I can sort of go for it, I might have a crack at the 10K, but I'm happy where that PB is time-wise. But it's that 5K. I would like to do an all-out 5K by the end of the year and see what I can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think everyone, myself included, who listens to this podcast and listens to you like talk week in, week out about your problems with injury and stuff, we just know you can do it. We know you've got it, because you can do it. And I think there's anyone that can, it's you. So fingers crossed you get choose the right day, choose the right course. Maybe if it's around Arrow Valley, that's even better, maybe. And
but one thing I do want to say about Sunday though is I did have to go and see race information for about 45 minutes whilst they sorted it out, because after I'd finished, I got this text message, I don't know if you can see that.
Congratulations, Brett, on finishing the Worcester City Run's half marathon in a time of 1:38:51.
Yeah, so I got my result, and it put me in 200 and something place with a time of 1:38:51, and I was like, that's not quite right. So yeah, I had to go and see race information for them to sort it out, and they took a photo of my chip to cross-reference it against all their things and everything, and eventually they got it sorted out. But I don't know. I think it possibly was when I crossed the finish line, the 10K time, because they went off 20 minutes before us, was saying 1:38, and the half marathon was saying 1:18. So even though I had a half marathon bib, I don't know whether it's got confused with which clock it was using. So I don't know.
That could be it. That could be it, couldn't it? Or maybe you had a 10K chip. I don't know. Yeah, it could have been.
So yeah, I don't know. But anyway, they sorted it out, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's good. On that subject, I had a question put forth to me from Kieran Turner.
Oh yeah.
He said, big question. He said he wants to know basically what was harder. He said, seeing as there is a half marathon coming up in 3 weeks for him, he wants to know, how was the pain of getting a PB in yours compared to trying to get the sub 20? Asking for a friend. By the way, it's all about to kick off in here because Laura's going to work and she's basically been like, right, here you go. Close the door. Daisy's back in with us. So look at her smiling. She's like, yeah, see ya. She can't wait to get out of here. Look. She's just giving me the dog. Oh God, good luck, she says. Yeah, cheers for that. Nice one. See you in a bit. So yeah, Kieran and I are similar paced at pretty much throughout the distances. And he even said that's why he kind of found my YouTube content. Kieran's my OG subscriber. I think he's been on board since like video 1. And he said he's just seen like a mirror image in his training, an hour training, if you know what I mean. So like we ran Bushy together. He did it 10 seconds faster than me. And he's doing the Royal Parks half marathon, which is coming up in early October. And the Royal Parks, by the way, sounds like a really good race because it's like Battersea, St. James's Park. I can't remember. It's obviously all the central London parks, which sounds really fun. And he says, what's basically harder, the half marathon PB or that sub 20? Now, this is controversial, but I think you might know what I'm going to say. I actually think trying to get that 20-minute 5K time, even though it was only 20 minutes of my life, was a harder effort because from the get-go, I'm working hard. Like I'm working really hard. Within the first 30 seconds, I can feel my breathings. You know, it just feels so difficult straight away.
Yep.
And you're never comfortable during a 5K. I'm not anyway, not even for the first half. It's max effort. It's 90. What do they say? It's 95% effort pretty much for 95% of the time, if you can. And the half marathon, like for the first 5K, I remember thinking this feels like a jog. It feels, I mean, again, it sounds like I'm not trying hard enough in my half marathons, but the way I paced it, it feels comfortable. And then before you know it, it's like, okay, this is not comfortable anymore. Yeah. Okay, it's going to be a slog now for the second half.
But that's sort of how it should feel because, as I say, your half marathon time should, well, it should be around your threshold, but really your threshold is what you can hold for an hour. So your threshold would be slightly quicker than your half marathon pace.
Yeah.
But threshold isn't an easy pace because it's what you can hold for an hour. But to be able to hold it for an hour, the first bit should feel easier, because otherwise you're never going to get to an hour running at that pace.
Yeah.
Whereas a 5K, as soon as you start off that start line, you're on the red line, because you are
basically
going out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember looking at my watch, and I think I'd just done, because I know we've got that hour kind of scenario when you hit threshold, you've got an hour to go, really, before you really hit the wall and you really are done. I remember looking at my watch, and I'd just done what would it have been? 6K, 7K. I was heading towards 5 miles anyway. And I looked at my watch, and I got to about 35 minutes. And then I thought, I'm going to be done, hopefully, in 1 hour. Have I got another hour's worth of effort in me?
Yeah.
And at that time, I remember thinking, I feel okay. I feel quite good. Yeah, I can easily do another hour at this pace. Fast forward 55 minutes. That effort at the same pace is just so difficult. And I know that's what's coming for me at the marathon as well, because it's a very similar pace, but hopefully with another 10 weeks of training that I'm going to put in, hopefully I'll give myself every chance to kind of deal with that with that pain, basically, and try and manage it as best I can. But yeah, it's 5Ks are really quite an 5K PB attempts are really quite uncomfortable. And I would say I found the sub 20 attempt, the 5K attempt, even though you were pacing me and I didn't even have to basically do anything for myself, I still found that way harder than the new half marathon PB.
Yeah.
Because how do you do a kick? How do you find a final sprint from a 5K PB attempt? Because I looked at the Bushy when I was editing the Bushy Parkrun. I really felt like I was doing a final sprint, and I watched myself back, and I'm just sat there going, "You're not even running any faster than you were." Like it's the gains are so fine, aren't they? Because you're already running relatively quickly to yourself.
Yeah.
And then when you try and kick, unless you've got the kick of an athlete, it's not going to be massively noticeable unless you can literally give it everything you've got, because let's face it, you've held back slightly. And that is, and I've always said that's something I definitely do need to work on. And I think that might be more mental than physical, that I need to be able to try and unlock that extra gear or that extra few percent, that next percent of effort that I've yet to discover. So I do feel like I need to work on that. I need to try and find that extra gear.
Yeah.
To finish a 5K off.
That will come from your track sessions.
Yeah, which, by the way, I wanted to mention, I did track in the week, and is the best I've ever felt, I think. So considering, like we said at the 1 hour 42 ago, I finished the half marathon I've been able to run this week. I'm so pleased with, because I didn't hold back for some of those reps, and I was really glad that I was able to run well this week. So yeah. Well, I hope that answers your question, Kieran. Half marathons are easy. It's the 5Ks at the hard ones.
Yeah. Right. So we are on an hour and 43.
We're on PB pace.
Shall we go through some comments from the last couple of videos?
Yes.
So first one is from a friend of the podcast, Mac, who when I was talking about his 100K run he did, I accidentally said 100 miles, and he put 100 miler, Brett. Thanks for the idea. So that might be next up on the list, which would be amazing.
Anything to get top of the leaderboard.
Yeah. And then Gary Manders has put, running community is great. Never met a runner I didn't like. Cyclists, not so much. which is interesting but possibly true. And then he's put to the chap who sent the email on mental health. Good luck to you, matey, on life's journey. Which, yeah, thank you so much for that email. Yeah, and best of luck in whatever you do. But he then Gary then put, to you, pair of reprobates, good luck with your upcoming races. So thank you very much for that.
I think that was in reference to Stuart's email, I think.
Yes.
Stuart McKillop. So yeah, thanks for that email last week. Yeah.
So then Sensi Simon put, thanks for keeping me company on my Sunday long run, guys. Andy and I had the same problem with Andy, I had the same problem with the lock on my front door. I managed to fix mine myself after watching a YouTube video.
Mate, I could fix it myself after watching the locksmith. All he did was unscrew that. All he had was a little Allen key, put that into his drill. I was like, oh, is that how you do it? 130 quid, please. He had an iZettel as well, and a Tesla.
He said the problem happens if you leave the key in the door on the inside and then someone tries to unlock the door from the outside with another key. So never leave the key in the door now.
Yeah.
And then he said, Andy, yes, it was me you were chatting to before Newport, and I am indeed running the Cardiff half. You can find me in your Strava club, Simon Lee. P.S. Well done on your Bushy Park PB. Looking forward to the video. Well, that video is now out, so hopefully you enjoyed it.
Simon, by the way, at Newport was telling me before he'd run similar to the Woo. I'm pretty sure, if I'm getting my if my memory serves, he'd only ever run. He really wanted sub 3, and he kept getting like 3:05, or he'd done 3:15, or something agonizingly close. And I think he did a sub 3 at Newport. Simon, correct me if I'm wrong. Amazing. Even with the long mile 25 or whatever it was, the controversial mile. So he even ran a little bit further and a bit quicker. So congratulations, Simon, on Newport.
Then we have Kieran Turner said he's put, I think we need to keep my vintage purchases off the internet, as I had to sneak a pair into the house. And then I'm glad Stuart is finding an outlet with running and the community around running. Cheers, fellas. Amen. Well done on giving up your time and playing your part. Then Rob Scott 33 put, enjoyed Brett's 3,000 meter race recap. I've got my first ever track race next week. 5,000 meters at my local club's Have a Go at Track Racing night. Not been this excited for a race since Manchester Marathon 2024. Think I can run 19 low. Anything sub 20, I'll be happy with, though. Keep it up. Amazing. And good luck both with your races to come. So I hope, Rob, that your 5K race went amazingly. Well, I say 5K, 5,000 meters, because it's on the track. So, 5,000 meters. Hope your race went amazingly, and please do let us know what your result was, and if you managed to get that 19 low.
I bet you any money that 5K or that 5,000 was way harder than your Manchester Marathon. Was it? Controversial update pending.
Yeah. And then Neely Ville, or Vile, or I'm not sure how you say it, but said, did the Great North Run in 2022, and it was absolutely magic. Entered me and the missus for the ballot for 2025. Hope both of us get in, or at least one of us. Great podcast, lads. Watch this all at work. Don't tell the boss. And happy training.
What a legend.
So amazing. Yeah, fingers crossed you did get in the ballot, and it weren't like all the people I know who all got sorry not this time emails. And then Mark G said Andy's turning into Jacob Inga Watsit. Not the worst position to be in. Another top episode. I guess that's from all of your track sessions and your speedy legs.
No, I think that's because I can only ever do well when you're there. I can only ever do when I'm getting paced.
Probably, yeah.
And that has proved my theory as well, because I got paced for the half marathon last week. Followed the pacer.
Yeah. Amazing. And then from last episode, we got from Dave Napier. Thanks for the shout out. Really enjoyed the Great North Run and would have settled for a lesser time if I didn't run with you and Jordan.
Oh, amazing.
Looks like you dragged Dave along for a much quicker time than he expected.
He wanted a 150 and he ended up getting a 144. So
yeah,
sorry, Dave.
Amazing.
Made you work harder than you wanted to.
Then we've got Nearly Vil again, who said, I've got 4 pairs of the version 1 Alpha Fly, and they are the GOAT. As a heavy 4-foot striker who supernates, they are perfect for me. Saying that, Alpha Fly 3 is better as they have a better fit and lockdown, lighter and faster. I have already set my 10K and half PB on the Alpha Fly 3, and hopefully a marathon PB in Valencia in them. So, yeah, fingers crossed for your Valencia marathon. So hopefully you'll see Andy over there and you can say hello.
But can come and say hi if you see me, because I would definitely want to know more about your alphas, which I'm going to wear for the first time, by the way, later on today. So I'm going to try and hopefully give you an update on how they went next podcast.
Then we've got Gary Manders back again saying, seeing as you mentioned Takumi Sen 9, Brett, Sports Direct have most sizes in a couple of colorways for 85 quid. If you need a fresh pair, Takumi Sen are my absolute favorite shoe for 5K and 10K. I would say my Takumi Sen are my absolute favorite shoe ever, I think.
So, you know, the Takumi 10s that I bought, the white ones with what I call the Germany colors are like black, red and gold. I've taken them out of the box 3 times. 2 times I got a PB in them.
Yeah.
1 5K, 1 half marathon. So yeah, there is something magical about those shoes.
Yeah, and that deal of 85 quid for a pair of Takumi Sen 9s is great, but I can't buy any more because I've already got 2 pairs of Takumi Sen 9s, which have still got a load of life left in them. And I recently bought a pair of Takumi Sen 10s, which I raced the Worcester half in on Sunday. Yep. And I've got to say, the 10s are a good upgrade from the 9s. Yeah. The upper is more comfortable, I think, than the 9s. So yeah, it's a good update.
Not that I'm trying to make you panic buy them, but what about if Adidas start ruining them? You know, with the later updates and the 8s and the 9s and the 10s start becoming discontinued. Maybe it might be worth getting one cheeky pair for the road.
Yeah. Come on, I can't. We'll see. Then Mac, friend of the podcast, said episode 33. Blimey. And then he's put a little streamer emoji. Which,
is this 34 then? God,
this
I can't
is
believe
34.
34. This is crazy stuff.
It is.
Wow. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you so much to everybody for listening. Yeah, we wouldn't be doing it if you people weren't enjoying it. So yeah, thank you. Then we've got Running Stee, who said Alpha Fly 1s are defo the GOAT. Wish I could get them still. It was the V2 that Kipchoge wore in Paris. So yeah, I was right with the Kipchoge had a special pair of V2s made for Paris. But yeah, he said Alpha Fly 1s are defo the GOAT. So hopefully you'll find them just as good. And then we had a comment from those 2 runners who you ran Great North Run with. And they put, thanks for the shout out, guys. Love the meetup. And it was so lovely to meet you, Andy. You were spot on with the times too. 1:48.47 for me and 1:30 for Chris. So very happy. Great times all round and well done again on yours. Not sure about the party at the Piccadilles though. More like a cup of tea and a nap. But we don't want to ruin the illusion. Hope to catch you next year, if not before. Have a good one, and thanks again for the great podcast. Keep up the good work.
2 of the nicest people you'll ever meet, Chris and Kaylee. Yeah. Absolutely, just diamonds.
Amazing.
Really nice guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and congratulations on the times. They're some cracking times they are, especially in those conditions up there. That wasn't very nice for the Great North Run. And then the last one comes from a couple of episodes ago, from episode 30, and it's from Run Like a T-Rex, which I think is Dave.
Yeah.
And he said, not sure if it counts as value for money, because we were talking about what's the best value for money running shoe. And he said, not sure if it counts as value for money, as that's all relative to budget, running style, etc. But I'm really enjoying the Asics Nova Blast 4. I basically use them for everything except for recovery runs, and that's only because I've got the Gel Nimbus 25 for that, although they would work just fine. It's comfy, light, and what it's worth. And for what it's worth, I feel like during longer runs of 10 miles plus, I run with better form whilst wearing them. So that's a glowing review for the Nova Blast 4.
Well, I've got to be fair. I've got the 3s, and I haven't really worn them so much because I bought the Pumas now. I loved my Novas, my Nova Blast 3s, so I can see why you like them, because I imagine they've had some upgrades and they're just a good, really good, solid shoe. So yeah, I can see why you like them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last little bit of his comment is quite good. It says, the big question is, what will get under 2 hours first? Running the Red Line Pod or the men's marathon world record?
I think we all know the answer to that.
Yeah, because this week is definitely not going to be under 2 hours once again.
No.
So yeah, but that is all the comments. So thank you so much, everybody, for those comments. I have just remembered, though, right? We have forgot about this every single week for ages.
Have we ghosted someone?
Sort of. So when we first set up the Strava club, we said, if people want to get in touch, also you can comment on the Strava club. And somebody did on that first week, and we've not talked about it since because we completely forgot. And it was Lee Ross put on a post and said, Brett and Andy, would either of you hipsters, that's how long ago it was when we were talking about hipsters. Brett and Andy, would either of you hipsters consider taking on the authentic marathon?
Now,
which is the marathon from it starts at Marathon and ends in Athens in Greece.
Now, there's something that's so cool about that. And for me, it's yes, a 100% yes. By the sound of things, I mean, I know I said this last podcast, it's not a PB race.
Okay.
Because I know it's supposed to be very, very hilly. But I think Phidippides got a PB, didn't he, when he first did it? So if he could do it, but he did die. He did die straight away.
He did, yes, he did, yeah. But so, he finished it.
PB's
he finished it. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
That's probably written on his headstone, isn't it? Here lies Phidippides. It would be a big headstone to get all his name in, but it says, marathon, sub 3.
It does look like an amazing
sponsored
marathon,
but sponsored by Vivo Barefoot as well. I don't think he had any shoes on, did he? Phidippides.
No, he had some sandals.
Oh yeah,
possibly like Crocs or something.
Sandal flies, sandal blasts.
Yeah.
Fair play.
What I have got to say though is, from looking at the image that he's put on there, one reason that would make me go, yes, I definitely want to go and race that marathon, is as well as water stations and nutrition stations, they've got Coke stations where they give out Coca-Cola.
I thought you were going to say Ouzo.
No, they've got Coke stations. So they give out Coke on the course, which is amazing.
I hope the bottle had been opened an hour or two
and
before.
Shaken a little bit so you're not full of gas whilst and you start to float whilst you're running.
What time of year is it? Is it around about now? Is it an October race?
I ain't got a clue. I shall Google now. Hang on. The Authentic Marathon 2024. Sunday, the 10th of November.
Entry still open?
No, I don't think they are. I think it's sold out.
I was looking for a 20 miler, wasn't I? Might as well just do a 26er.
Oh yeah. Run a full marathon in training for a marathon. Yeah.
The hardest one that there is. I'll do it barefoot as well. I'll be really
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah.
Run it with a sword.
No, gotta do it in flip flops.
Didn't he do it naked? Actually, apparently, the more miles he did, apparently he lost layers of clothes. I ain't doing that.
Well, like that guy that Gary Manders saw finish in London.
Yeah, was this guy actually in the marathon? Did he have a bib on? Oh God! Yeah, that was dodgy. That story about the guy running down with his twig and berries hanging out.
Yeah,
on the last 100 meters down the mile.
Twig and berries.
Yeah, has someone actually checked that this guy's got a bib on? Yeah, because is he actually in the race?
Amazing.
Yeah. So the big fat yes to the Greek, the authentic marathon. I would love to have a go at it one day.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Have you got the emails up?
I do. Chance? Yeah, we've got 2 to read through, so I shall go first. I'm panicking a bit because Daisy is circling like a shark. She's finished her what we call licky mat. So Laura makes her up these frozen yogurt things, and like they're long-lasting things for her to eat. She just finished it, so I'm panicking a bit. Okay, right. This is from James. This is from James Crooks, and I don't think we've read this out. No. Hi, fellas. I've been listening to the pod from the very beginning, but I've never been in touch before. The pod keeps me company on long drives around the country for my job as a service engineer. I'm currently training for the Chester Marathon and find myself in the full grip of paranoia. However, this morning, after a full week of brutal night shifts, I laced up my Takumi Sens and ran my first ever sub-20 parkrun. Legend.
Yes.
Just sneaking under in 1956.
Amazing.
I've been honest. Oh my God, Daisy. No. Oh, Daisy. She's just nearly pulled the microphone out. Daisy. Okay, that's not part of the email. Okay. I have been on a similar journey to you, Andy, and was hoping to get it done before my 40th at the end of the year. I'm definitely not one for blowing my own trumpet, but felt like I needed to let you guys know, strange as that might sound. The pod truly has been an inspiration to me, and I'm sure will continue to do so, to be so. I want to wish you guys and all your listeners all the best with smashing their upcoming targets, brackets, not goals.
Yeah.
On to Chester. Cheers, amazing. James from North Derbyshire.
Amazing.
Yep. All the best with Chester, mate. It's from what I remember from last year, I absolutely loved the race. And you and 15,000 other runners are going to love it, but there's only about 2,000 of you, don't worry. So you're going to have a wicked time. So yeah,
absolutely smash it. And I know you said it sounds a bit weird, but felt compelled to tell us about your sub-20. Damn right. Yeah. So shout from the rooftops that you ran that sub-20. You should be sharing that with everybody. Definitely let us know when you have great results at races, please, guys.
Yeah. And mate, let us know how you get on at Chester. So in a couple of weeks' time, come and let us know how you did. We'd be really keen to find out how you did. So we've got one more email. It is the title of this is called "Have I got top of the Strava's?" I'll start that again. Have I got top of the Strava segment this week? This is from Nathan Hampson. Now Nathan's been in a couple of your videos, hasn't he?
He has, yes.
He was in Birmingham.
I managed to. I met him at the start line and at the finish line of Manchester Marathon, where he ran his first sub-3, which was incredible. And then he ran a 120, I think it was just over 120, just under 121 at Birmingham. And I saw him at the finish line there as well.
Amazing. And that's another thing as well. If you ever see me or Brett at races, just come over, chew our ears off about telling us about you. Tell us if you've done well. Tell us if it's not gone how you thought it was going, because we just love chatting about running. So feel free to come and say hello. So Nathan says, "Hi, Brett and Andy. I'm Nathan and I'm a malt loaf addict. Long time listener, first time caller here. First off, I want to say a massive thanks for keeping me company on my long runs. You guys are with me during my Manchester Marathon block, and now I'm 3 weeks out from Chester. Another Chester runner.
Ooh.
The journey's been tough but rewarding, and the podcast has definitely helped keep my spirits up. I've been running for just over 3 years now, and I'm proud to say I went bit of a spoiler. We've ruined this email by saying my story. And I went sub 3 in Manchester in April and ran a 1:20:58 half marathon in Solihull this August.
Check that out from memory.
Yeah. I had the chance to meet Brett at the start and the finish of Manchester. We could have just missed this paragraph out. I had the chance to meet Brett at the start and the finish at Manchester Marathon and the Great Birmingham Run. And I also spotted Andy at on the Pershore Road shouting, "It's on, Andy," as I went by. Running has become such a huge part of my life, especially recently. I lost a family member due to suicide, which has been incredibly hard. It's reminded me how important mental health is and how running has become a key part of my self-care. It's not always easy for me to open up, but I want to give a huge shout out to my running club for lending an ear during this time. And of course, to you guys for making me laugh, even when the miles get tough. I'm always striving to improve and to push myself. And I love seeing how running has helped me grow, not just physically, but mentally. You've played a part in that. And I just wanted to say how grateful I am for what you do. I'll always look forward to hearing about your week, and like many others, aiming for that elusive top spot on the Strava segment. Pretty sure I've cracked the top this week. Fingers crossed. Thanks again for everything. Keep up the great work, and I'll be listening. Kind regards, Nathan.
Nathan, thank you so much for that email. That's amazing, mate. And yeah, it is amazing how running can improve us both physically and mentally. And as you said there, your running club has been an ear for you to talk to, and I think that's true with the whole running community. If you need to speak to anybody, a runner's always there to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing that some of you guys have managed to, take anything from this podcast. But we just love the idea that our podcast will always be here to hopefully, like you say, keep you company in the long, hard miles and the darkness of marathon training and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, it's amazing that you found some solace from your running club and everything. So yeah.
And thanks for being so open and opening up within an email. It's amazing that lots of people feel so comfortable telling us about what they've been through, and we really do appreciate it. So yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in response to that email, it is time for the Strava segment.
Yes.
And last week, our leader on the Strava club leaderboard was Nathan. It was Nathan Hampson, and he did 83.9 miles. So that's an amazing week of running ready for Chester. So well done, Nathan, and I hope the race goes amazingly. Second was Steve Turner, who did 83.5 miles. So Nathan only pipped him by 0.4 of a mile. So pretty close, but it was good. And then Nicholas Forsman was third with 81.7 miles.
Amazing.
And then with our climbing, we had some big climbing numbers this week. We had Roberto Mendez at the top with 7,858 feet of climbing during the week.
How much?
7,858 foot.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then John Braz was second with 7,480, and Jack Blackburn 7,306.
Serious elevation. That's like 2,500 meters.
Yeah,
that's my word. That's quite a lot.
Pretty impressive. So yeah. But yeah. Also to follow on the from last week with our top lady from last week.
It was D last week, wasn't it?
It was D last week, but last week, the week before last week was D. This week was, just gonna go down and find, was Lisa Thomas from B&R.
Amazing.
She ran 55.7 miles, and she is currently in training for Amsterdam. So she's going to do the Amsterdam Marathon. She said she's not in marathon shape at the moment, and she's trying her hardest to get the mileage in to try and get up to speed. But she was hoping to go for that sub 3 sort of time, but she's now thinking a little bit easier than that. But still getting the mileage in, so that's great, Lisa. And then our second lady was Dee Cook-Rees with 51.3 miles. And can I find our third? Was Liz Brown in third with 40.1 mile. So
amazing.
Great work from all of you guys as well.
Yeah, superb. Some serious running this week. I think because marathon training plans are peaking at the moment and stuff, that lots of people are doing lots of miles.
Yeah.
And this has been my master plan the whole time, because hopefully everyone's marathon will be over next week or in the next month.
And you
so
can
in
get
November,
to the leaderboard. Yeah.
Hopefully 1 week when I don't do an ultra, I might actually be in the top 3. So that's my plan.
Amazing. But yeah, so shall we leave it there? And
well, we haven't talked about our week of training, but that'll be about another hour of chatting. So maybe we should
exactly. I'll probably leave it there. To be honest, but yeah, thank you so much to everybody for listening or watching. Give us go and join our club on Strava if you haven't already, and give us a review on your podcast platform of choice, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, and also go and subscribe on YouTube and give us a like. But as a little bit of a teaser, next week we hopefully have a special guest or two. Fingers crossed.
Ooh,
we've got to sort it out, but fingers crossed. We shall see. And
we've got to agree, image rights and their agency fees, and we've got to deal with their management.
So I know. So I will leave you on that. And thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.
See you guys. I'm out of the woods, by the way. Look at this. We've got a sleeping dog. You watch her wake up and just go mental.